6 months ago, I had a conversation with a senior director at a large consulting firm who was about to make what she thought was her dream career move. A bigger role, more impressive title, 50% salary increase. But when I asked her one simple question, she went completely silent for 30 seconds. By the end of our conversation, she'd realized that she was about to make a career move that would cap her full potential and leave her more drained and unfulfilled than ever. So before making another career move, make sure you watch until the end of this video. It will save you years of working in roles that look impressive, but leave you feeling exhausted and disconnected from your potential. So the question I asked was, think about your current role. What percentage of your typical week actually energizes you versus drains you? Now, to start, you need to understand that most senior professionals think that career satisfaction is about finding the right company or title, when actually it's about understanding what type of daily work fuels you rather than depletes your energy. For me, this became clear 5 years ago when I was a partner at KPMG. On paper, I had everything, a high six-figure salary, prestigious title, but I'd wake up on Monday mornings already exhausted thinking about the week ahead. And the turning point came when I realized I couldn't remember the last time I finished a workday feeling more energized than when I'd started. There were certain parts of my job, coaching conversations with staff, relationship building with senior clients, that really did energize me. But a lot of other activities, internal politics, administrative tasks, endless emails, completely drained me. And the problem was that maybe 20% of my role was energizing, but 80% was slowly killing my motivation. I'd optimized for these external markers of success while completely ignoring whether the work was sustainable for me. And that's when I discovered that climbing higher isn't the only way to get sustainable career satisfaction. It's about finding work where what energizes you significantly outweighs what drains you. Now, if you're tired of feeling drained by work that looks impressive but doesn't energize you, you'll love Atomic Ambition. Part of that is where I help you to identify exactly what type of work will fuel your energy and performance, and there's a link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Now, for most people, energy feels like a nice to have compared to concrete things like salary increases and promotions. We kind of expect to be exhausted by our work, and when you're making career decisions, it's easy to think, I can handle it if the money's good, or once I get the promotion, I'll enjoy the work more. But here's what I've discovered after coaching hundreds of people. Your energy level isn't a nice to have, it's the foundation of everything else. Think of it like trying to drive a high-performance sports car on the wrong fuel. It might run for a while, but eventually the engine will start breaking down and you'll never reach the performance you're capable of. And the reason so many professionals get stuck isn't a lack of ambition, it's that they've been trained to optimize for everything except the thing that actually determines their long-term success, whether their daily work energizes them or slowly depletes them. And there's a big cost to this. I see it every day. People who look successful on the outside but feel trapped, who dread Monday mornings despite their impressive titles, or leaders who've lost their spark because they spent years in roles that drain them rather than fuel them. So how do you actually identify what type of work will energize you? Most people think they know, but they're usually wrong because they confuse good at with energized by. So here's the framework I use with clients. For 1 week, track every significant task or meeting and rate it on a simple scale. But don't just rate whether you enjoyed it. Rate whether it gave you energy or took energy away. So the scale I use is +3. This is where you feel really energized after doing the particular task. +1, neutral, maybe a little bit energizing. -1, slightly draining, but manageable. And -3, you feel significantly drained, tired, exhausted after doing that particular task. Now, your goal isn't to fill your day with work that's 100% energizing for you. That's unrealistic. But the goal is to find work where the energizing elements at least outweigh the draining ones, and where the draining parts are either easier or can potentially be delegated to others. It's really important to reiterate here that energizing work isn't about easy work. Some of my most energizing moments at KPMG were also the most challenging, facilitating difficult conversations with senior clients, working through complex people problems with tight deadlines. The difference was that the challenge itself was energizing rather than depleting. And the challenge and the resolution gave me energy. I felt great afterwards. So an easier question for you isn't what's easy. It's what type of challenge energizes me rather than drains me. What do I feel great after having done? It's a bit like how sometimes you're more fired up for work after a challenging session in the gym. And when I help clients to do this exercise, they're often surprised. For example, they'll maybe rate a high-stakes board presentation as a +3 because the challenge energized them, even though it was stressful. But they'll rate a easy, routine team meeting as a -3 because even though it was easy, it just left them feeling a bit drained. So how do you actually use these energy insights when you're evaluating your next career move? Most people do this backwards, right? They look at the salary, the title, the company, and then they hope that those things and the work will energize them. And that's a terrible idea. And this is what you need to do instead. Before you even apply for a role, get this clarity on what energizes you and use that as your filter for opportunities. When you're in interviews, ask questions like, can you walk me through what a typical week or day would look like in this role? Or what percentage of time is spent on a particular energizing activity for you versus a particular draining activity for you? Most candidates, when they're in an interview, they'll ask about growth opportunities or the company culture. But people rarely ask these fundamental questions which relate to energy, which actually determine whether a role is going to be a great fit for them or not. So going back to that director I mentioned in the beginning, when we worked through her week to find out what was energizing for her, we discovered that it was only about 15%. And that was on a good week. And when we went deeper, she realized that what energized her most in her current role was solving complex technical problems. But the new role didn't actually involve much of that at all. It was a big role, but it was more about making sure an established process was operating well. And if she'd taken that role, she would have been spending most of her time on administrative oversight, which is the main activity she previously found draining. So she was about to trade a role where maybe 15% of her work energized her for a role where maybe 5% of her work would energize her. She didn't even realize that that was what she was going to do. So the conversation we had changed everything. So instead of leaving that role, she actually stayed at her current firm and negotiated for a different kind of progression, a senior director role that's now focused on tricky technical issues. And now about 2/3 of her weekly work energizes her. Her performance reviews are the best of her career, and most importantly, she actually enjoys her work again. So when you make career decisions based on energy alignment rather than just external validation, everything else, things like performance, recognition, financial rewards, follow naturally. But when you chase the external rewards while ignoring energy, you often end up trapped in golden handcuffs. I know this might sound idealistic. You've got mortgage payments, family responsibilities, and real financial pressures that affect your career decisions. But here's what I want you to understand. Focusing on external markers of success and ignoring your energy patterns is the riskiest career strategy you can follow. When you're in work that drains you, your performance suffers, your confidence erodes, and your options become more limited over time. But when you find work that energizes you, everything changes. Your performance improves, your reputation grows, you get paid more, and even better opportunities start appearing. So your very next career move might not be the highest paying option or have the most prestigious title at first. But if it's work that energizes you rather than drains you, you'll outperform all the people who are just going through the motions in roles that they think they should want. And that will mean you'll get those other external markers of success too. So the question isn't whether you can afford to prioritize energy in your career decisions. The question is whether you can afford not to. Now, if you're ready to stop accepting a career that drains your energy and start building a career that actually fuels your performance, take a look at Atomic Ambition, part of which takes you step by step through this exact energy audit process to identify your ideal next role. You can find a link to it in the description below. Now, designing your career around your energy is just the first step. The bigger challenge is learning how to negotiate for roles that honor those patterns, which is why you should watch this video next on how to make your next big move. Because knowing what energizes you won't help if you don't know how to position yourself for those opportunities.